So I'm actually a big fan of Chainsaw Man, the anime. I absolutely loved it when I watched it, and I was naturally very excited to see what the movie would do. And in this case, Chainsaw Man Reze Arc is now in theaters. And I went and checked it out this afternoon, and I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Denji is still trying to figure out a lot of stuff when it comes to this world as his time with the Devil Hunters continues. He's also very much trying to make his way up the ranks, especially when it comes to taking on the other devils who might be coming for him, and also in the hope of eventually taking out the gun devil because he really wants to get with Makima. It's at this moment of time that he meets Reze, a girl who works at a cafe, and despite having some conflicted thoughts about potentially being with Reze because he also wants to be with Makima, the two do seem to be forming a bond with each other. However, things do take a turn when they have to deal with devils, and once again, Chainsaw Man has to come back out along with the rest of the hunters to take down the threats that are coming. I'm keeping that plot synopsis a little vague because I don't really want to give away too much about what's happening in Reze Arc. The marketing is also very sparse for it, which I think is a really good idea, so I'm not going to give away more details than I need to. But as I was mentioning at the start of the video, I loved Chainsaw Man. I think it's a fantastic season of TV, and I loved everything about it, from the characters to the action sequences, of course, to the humor that they had and the emotional storylines that were being brought forward. I mean, you really cared for pretty much everybody who was showing up and how they were, working through certain things in order to get through, to where they needed to go. And within that 12 episode arc, I was really riveted by what they were able to accomplish. And so going into the movie to see the expansion of that, I was curious to see where it would go. And right out the gate, it does once again nail the characterization of everybody over here. Denji is still just as, crazy and even horny at times when it comes to his pursuits, and I think when it comes to the action, he is very much channeling that weird, wacky, crazy energy of what is within him with Pochita, and just really letting loose with his chainsaws. And again, he's just a really fun character, and I think they did a great job with him again. Reze, who the movie is named after, I thought she was absolutely wonderful. She was a very charming and really fun character, and the relationship that she eventually has with Denji, I thought was really adorable as well. There's some really great moments over there that were very nicely handled. And I thought that her character, throughout as the movie progressed, I thought they did a really solid job with her. Other characters like Hayakawa, Agi, Makima, Power, I thought they were all once again really, really well realized. Power is still extremely funny and, just bizarre and whacked out, and there's a few fun moments with her. But I think that they also did a really good job of having some of the other characters, expanding on them a little bit. The Angel Devil, for instance, you get a lot with that character over here, and I really liked some of the places that they went with the Angel. I thought there were some really nice moments that you got out of that, especially in conversations with Aki. There was some great stuff over there. And I think that the way that, again, the movie expanded on the lore of certain things was fascinating. Of course, you want to talk about the action because it's Chainsaw Man, and it does absolutely deliver on all of those fronts. The action is extraordinary. The animation, first of all, is absolutely stunning. It looks beyond incredible. I saw this in 3D earlier this afternoon, and they've done a really great job of making sure a lot of stuff really pops off the screen when things are eventually going down. Eventually, that big third act where you get just basically the biggest cataclysmic event that you can possibly imagine, that entire thing is stunning to behold, and just a visual smorgasbord of crazy visuals and colors and just things being flung at you throughout. I thought they did an incredible job over there. It's incredibly gory, of course, because you expect it to be, and there's a lot of limbs and bodies and heads flying around as things eventually do happen, and all of that is executed well. The soundtrack is great, really loud and thunderous, especially over a lot of those moments, and the way it eventually, like I said, brings around a lot of the characters and arcs, I thought was really well handled and very emotionally impactful as well, because nothing that happens in this movie, like as funny as it may be, it never forgets that there is something tragic at the center of it all. These characters are not necessarily coming from places which are happy scenarios. You know, they've all witnessed something really, really awful at some point of time, and that has brought them to this moment. And if you've seen the original series, then you know what I'm talking about. It never forgets that. And again, it builds a lot on the mysteries of certain characters, and you're trying to understand how they are the way they are. If you remember the original show, Makima, there are some things about her that we don't really know much about yet. Like, she can do certain things. Her abilities are such that it makes her extremely powerful. And there are moments like that in this movie which are explored as well, where it's like, what else can she do? And some aspects of that are really interesting to see. I think the movie overall does a really great job of, you know, expanding on the show and really making some things happen in some fascinating ways that I was absolutely blown away by. And I know there's a lot more story to be told, because even at the end of this arc, I mean, we still have a ton of things to look forward to. And I can't wait to see what those other things are going to be, because there's so much more out there when it comes to the story and when it comes to these characters. And again, the way that the movie does it, you know, brings all of them together in these very emotionally satisfying ways. Like, there's some moments with some of the side plots where there's a line or two mentioned early on where it seems inconsequential, but again, towards the end, they bring it around in this really powerful way. I thought they nailed a lot of those aspects. Sometimes I will say that when it comes to the show and even this movie over here, there are moments where there is a bit of tonal whiplash every now and then, because you're going from something incredibly serious to incredibly funny very quickly. Most of the time that works really well, but there were a couple of moments where I was like, man, something really dark just happened. Okay, now it's a joke. Okay. So there's a few times where it goes a little abruptly between a couple of those points, you know, like just a point of humor, where I think that they could have been a little more finely tweaked in a few of those instances. That's something that I did notice, like especially in like the second act of the movie, where things really start to build up, you know, into what eventually happens. But really, that's the only flaw that I can think of. The main villain of this movie, you know, is the bomb devil, as you've, you know, seen from some of the marketing. I thought this was a great villain, and I mean, just an incredibly violent and really, you know, massive threat to deal with for Denji. And I think really, really well done stuff over there. So overall, I'm actually really happy with Reze Arc. I think they did a fantastic job of continuing the story and building it further, like all the lore and the world building of it. It's so great. And I highly recommend checking it out. Of course, if you haven't seen the original, you know, season of TV, then you might be a little lost. I would recommend seeing that, because like I said, it's only 12 episodes. They're not that long. In fact, they've created 2 compilation movies out of it. So you can pretty much just watch that. It's like 3.5 hours total. And you can then go see this movie, which is like 1 hour and 40 minutes. And yeah, I think you might get something really great out of that in total. So just something that I thought I'd throw out there. I'm going to give Chainsaw Man, the movie, Reze Arc, a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. If you're fans of Chainsaw Man, or if you've seen the movie, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. Thank you very much once again. And I'll see you guys at the movies.